podcast with the owner of Bent Motorsports, David Beckett, and his crew, Jacob Hunsinger, James Hernandez, and Jake Russo. Listen in as the guys discuss all things motorsports, including tech tips and current shop projects.
All right, so welcome back to the Motorsports Podcast.
Good morning, wife.
These guys are out of control. I apologize. And this podcast goes out to my Aunt Noreen, who's our number one listener. And I apologize we haven't done one sooner, but this one's for her. Okay.
How long ago did she tell you that? 2014?
Yeah, no, it was 2013. Oh, wow. She sent me a telegram.
10 years she's been
Fact
waiting.
check.
Telegram from
real?
Iowa. Okay. So everybody who's here, me and the Jakes, as per usual. And then we have Curtis, newest member of Bent Motorsports, and his homie Nick. And they basically went out to King of the Hammers this year and shredded a Samari. So we have them in here to recap and go over all the stupid, cool, fun stuff we did.
Are you recording?
Am I? Yeah, I hit record. There's a little red lights on.
We've
A
had
little
that
red
happen
lights
before.
All right.
Whole thing.
Sorry, Ian.
Oh my lord, I forgot
Maybe
about
we
that.
should be
We
putting
went
this out to
way
Ian.
back.
45 minutes into a podcast talking, and we all look over. It's not recording. It's not recording.
No. There was no SD card in it.
Oh, that's what it was.
We
Was there
did
an
the
SD
whole
card in it?
podcast, and then I got done, and I'm like, hey, there's no SD card in here. Like, that didn't get recorded.
And so they came back the next week, and we literally talked about it was almost like sentence for sentence. We did it all over again, but just actually recorded it.
Yeah.
But it was like, I feel like
That
we've
was in the
talked.
early
I
days of
feel
our
like we talked
podcasting
about this
where-
before.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I know.
Where we were pretty terrible
He
at it.
loved it.
So pretty much like right now.
The poor
Pretty
guy.
terrible at it still.
Yeah, well,
We're just
So why don't you guys tell us about your Samurai?
it's broken.
Yeah, it's
A lot.
not in one piece.
So
in a
give a
lot of
little
pieces.
background
That's
of the class, what the Samurai means to that class, a little bit of the the folklore that goes along with the Samurais and why they're so popular right now.
And why did you pick one?
Because he already owned it.
Yeah, because I already owned it,
That's a sick reason.
and I thought it'd be cheap. Not cheap.
You thought wrong.
the vehicle doesn't make racing cheap. Okay, got
That's
it.
what I get for thinking. No, we raced in the 4600 stock class. So stock class limitations, no cut fender wells. If it came with leaf springs, has to stay leaf springs. If it came with coil springs, it can be coil springs or links. One shock per corner, 35-inch tire maximum, DOT approved tire. Any engine that came in that year, make, or model car. So it's a pretty limited class.
But honestly, I think that we stayed the closest
Super
to that
true.
Oh yeah.
stock class
Oh yeah. And
limitation that they said we wanted to.
in that racing, if you're not cheating, you're not racing.
That's kind of true with every racing, just so
Yeah.
you know, right? Like there's what's that old Days of Thunders? Nothing stock about a stock car, right?
Yeah.
Like they're heavily modified. So
Oh yeah.
The thing that sucks, though, at least in my opinion, is that if you went to that race, you put in all this time and effort, and like you modified something to benefit you, and then you get all the way out to the lake bed, and they're like, "Sorry, dude, we can't let you do that."
Yeah.
Like you're gonna be bummed. You just
Yeah.
spent how much money on the car, all the times, like sleepless nights, all that stuff, and then you're just gonna get shut down like that, you know? Like,
And it can
But
happen.
that was like our biggest concern, and that's why we stayed like in that stock class lane.
Our
But
car's
then
to
we
the
like
book.
met everyone
Yeah.
else that's racing basically the same car, and it's like, we could have went so much further with this.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Are you kidding me
Oh,
right
yeah.
now?
Yep.
yeah, but this is your first year there. You guys were rookies, official rookie class.
Yeah. First
So-
year rookies.
Yeah, so I mean, you got to go into it at some point and just do it, learn the lay of the land and what's allowed, not allowed, and then, next
Yeah.
year go back, wives permitting, and do it again.
Yeah.
keyword wives permitting.
Off camera, they're giving a thumbs up. but
Huge
I'm
thumbs
pretty
up.
sure.
There's only one of them here, though.
Oh, there was a finger and a thumb. Sorry, I screwed that up. So what place did you officially come in, right? Because you were on course when it ended, so you're still a DNF, but
So we're still a DNF. So official results, I guess, going through USAC, who's doing the
Right.
official results.
right.
They say that they're going off of whoever made it the farthest on the race course, and they're still evaluating that. But as of now, it's going off of the first first lap time
Because second lap didn't get finished.
because second lap didn't get finished by a lot of people.
Right.
And so based off of that, we got 18th.
Okay.
Damn.
So sick.
Out
Yeah.
of 50.
In literally,
How many people?
I don't know.
unless you guys
I think
were
it was
there.
45 or 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you guys were there, literally the smallest car in the class. 31s?
Yeah.
Yeah,
31-inch
31s.
tires.
Yeah.
The next smallest car in the class had 35s, right? I don't think
33s.
No,
there
it
was
wasn't in our class. So
no,
that was a
35s.
4500 car.
Yeah, there's
So,
only 35s.
Yeah,
Only 35s.
I don't think there was anyone. Well, what did the Barbie Jeep have? Did they have 35s?
I think they had 35s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Close. So
You were
yeah, we had
you were
these-
going up like in comparison. The car that was right in front of you in line, like staging, was a JL from Rock Crawler Suspension.
Yeah.
It had a Hemi in it because technically that vehicle came with a Hemi at
392.
some point.
Yeah.
And it was long armed. It was badass shocks. Like basically everything you could do to that thing. Like the baddest cage you could build. Like
Yeah.
that thing was dialed, dude. And I heard it coming through the desert, waiting to see a Ultra 4 car coming through. So it's like you're competing with that.
So what was cool is when we were in staging, that guy's the owner of Rock Crawler Suspension.
Yeah.
And he walked up to us and he's all, "This is a pretty rad fucking build." And we're like, "Really?" He's all, "Hell yeah, props to you guys. This is cool. Hopefully, good luck." He's
Yeah.
all, "If you guys need anything, stop by our pit or, we can toss you parts out the window or whatever." He's all, "Good luck. This is super rad."
Yeah.
That's a
So-
cool thing about, and really any class out there, even
Yeah.
the 44 class, everybody's really pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a racing community. It's just like the off-road family's the off-road family, right? It's
Yeah.
pretty rad.
I think it's the nice thing about King of the Hammers, and I'm not 100% sure what the purses are worth or like what the return is on it, but like
Done.
everybody is
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
I know, but you can still like
Negative.
when we were there before, like there were certain sponsors that would be like, hey, if you placed like 1 to 3rd and we're sponsoring you, like we'll give you this money, and that's cool, but. Nobody lets it go to their head. Like, no matter what, if you come through the pits, you pull into some random pit, and you're like, my tire's, like, fucked. Like, we really got to go. We're in the lead. Like, everyone will be like, well, our car's not close, so, yeah, we'll change your tire. Like, there's just a lot of camaraderie
Yeah.
and fun racing spirit that goes along with it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I even
it's
think
way
that
awesome.
someone from our pit let another team a grinder and grinding wheels and everything to get their shit fixed too. I mean,
Yeah.
When we pulled into remote pit 1, totally pulled into the wrong pit. And they said, "Wrong pit. Good luck." And we're like, "Oh, okay, thanks."
They didn't throw anything at
No,
you.
they were super
No,
cool.
they were super cool. They weren't like, "Get out! What are you
Yeah.
doing?"
That's what we should do next year is have super soakers for when people come in the wrong
Just
pit,
spray
we
'em.
Super soak them. That'd be super
Or
fun.
those confetti bombs.
Oh, yeah.
You know how shitty that would be to drive the rest of the race with confetti flying
On
everywhere.
my car, like
These are good ideas.
There's
Someone
already
should be
enough
writing these
dust.
down.
Like we don't need
Yeah.
anything else flying around. Yeah, I think some of the coolest parts about it was just the amount of support we got from every person that walked by us.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a single person that was like, "You guys are stupid." And if they thought that, they kept it to themselves at least.
They did that when they were
got-
10 feet away.
We got
Yeah.
That's fine, dude. At least when they were there, I was stoked. Like, I mean, we got so many high fives and like thumbs ups, and you guys are awesome, and it's so cool to see a true car out here that's like not above and beyond modified,
Yeah.
doing a race that's like, I mean,
So
insane.
a little bit of about the track. If you guys weren't there, the first lap was a desert, mostly desert lap.
Yeah.
And it was about 75 miles ish. Pit 1 was about 35-mile marker, so halfway through lap 1. And then lap 2, you would go over into the rocks, and it was pretty much all day in the rocks to try to get back to Hammertown. So you guys made it through all of lap 1 and about, I'm going to say about a third of the way through the second lap over by Spooner's at the base of, or at the beginning of Outer Limits, right?
Yep.
So now, just to give you guys some perspective, we have a little tracker that we can see. Me and the Jakes were out at Remote Pit 2, which was the mountainside, and we would look at the tracker, and we heard from Curtis's wife via text message that they had just come into Pit 1, and they were down 4.5 quarts of oil on an engine that holds
Probably 5.
4.5 quarts of oil.
literally holds 4 quarts. So they gave him an extra half on the way out.
Dude, we looked at each other and I was like, I didn't know the oil light worked on this. It's never come on before.
Yeah, we're mid race, and he's like, the oil light works. I've never seen that before. And then I was like, well, that's not good.
That's a bummer, yeah. And then what do you have? You hit the drain plug, I think, on the rear diff. We think, but it might have a crack in it, right?
It's got a crack in it.
So the rear diff has a crack in it. All the gear oil came out. So he came into pit main pit. You already made it through pit 1.
Yeah, pit 1, they just told us you guys have like a slight diff leak,
Just go.
but no big
Yeah.
deal. And even when they were working on it in main pit, all I heard was diff's full.
Yep.
And I was like,
We
cool,
thought they were just
we're
checking
fine.
fluids, and then
We tend to do that in the pits. We don't like you guys to know really what's going on because
I'm
then
okay with it.
Then there's no fun for you when it actually goes, boom, out in the desert, right? Like you don't need to worry about stuff you need to worry about. But so they come into main pit, no oil in the engine, no gear oil in the rear diff, probably something broken in the front axle or front hub somewhere. Or you were 3-wheel drive at that point, right?
We don't know.
We
We
don't
don't know
know
until
when
we
it
hit the
w-
next rock
yeah.
trail at Spooners. We did all the Spooners in 3-wheel drive.
Yeah. So
we
you
didn't know till
probably
we-
broke it in Turkey Claw, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, we did go through Turkey Crawl and like
We
record
smashed
timing.
through
So
Turkey Claw.
And then so we get this text message saying, "Oh, no, my watch
Oh,
is smarter."
Spondyle.
So we get this text message saying they just left main pit. We had to give them a gallon of oil. The rear diff is cracked. Like this laundry list of stuff that was wrong. And the first ping I get from the tracker is that they're doing 60.2 miles an hour. So I'm like, well, apparently they don't give a shit what's going on with the Samurai. I just imagine this Samurai with white smoke blowing out the back, just
Oh, yeah.
bombing through the desert. So that was super fun that knowing that you guys were just going all out and didn't really give a shit.
No way. And to put it into perspective, like the car normally burns a lot of oil, but it's usually about like a quart in a 3-day weekend. We'll go out and we'll wheel for a whole 3-day weekend, and it burns a quart of oil, and we burn 4+
four quarts and 60 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what happens when you keep that little
That
skinny
poor
pedal all
car.
the way to the floor.
That poor car, it ripped in the desert. It was so much fun.
Yeah,
rad.
it was unreal in the desert. We pre-ran the desert in a long travel truck on 37s, and like thinking in my brain like, holy crap, this truck, this is rough and not rough, but this is a tough trail in this truck.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do in the Samurai? Like this is insane. Like the ruts are wider, deeper than us. Like
Yeah.
this truck's I-beams are dragging on the center line of the trail.
Yeah.
And I completely forgot we even did that when we were out there. I was like, this doesn't seem, it's just so different. I think we just kind of rode like a high line the entire time that just felt different,
Yeah, it was just all about line choice. We picked good lines as best we could.
which we focused on a lot during pre-running.
Yeah.
We were consistently scanning because we had 150 feet to go both ways. So him and I kept that together. Like,
Yeah.
remember that we don't need to be in that trophy truck line.
Yeah.
So,
And
the
then
car,
ultimately, when you guys got to Spooners, the winch finally crapped out. Oh, well, the radiator fell off or came loose.
I didn't even notice the Well, no, the winch broke, and
Yeah.
then when I was closing the hood, I felt the radiator move like inches back and forth. Carlos, do you have something to say?
I will learn some love.
But that was just like an accidental find.
Yeah, so who knows when that came off. But
Like,
ultimately,
honestly, probably mile 25.
stuck in Spooners
Probably.
with a winch that's not working.
Yeah.
The winch is really what kind of took you out of the race because you couldn't. Somebody helped you off a rock. You got it down the backside to the desert and limped it all the way back. I mean, the thing drove all the way back to camp.
Yeah,
It did, with a lot of fuel in,
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
oil.
we did get stuck
With
with
a lot of
white.
fuel in the oil.
When I drained the
Massive
oil the other
washdown.
day, it was like 12 quarts of oil. It was
So it was 2 quarts of oil and like a
thin.
gallon and a half of
Yeah.
fuel.
That poor thing.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it still runs, and relatively doesn't even sound that bad.
No.
But it's been smoky for like 4 years now.
For a long time. Yeah.
So remind you, this is a car that Nick has been off-roading and driving to work, and
Oh, yeah.
and
I used to
we've
drive it.
driven to the desert with Christmas trees and a dirt bike hanging.
Oh,
off it.
yeah.
Like
We used to take it camping to Idlewild. I've actually driven it to King of the Hammers in like, I think 2013 or 14, and wheeled it all weekend out there, and then we drove it home. Camped out of it.
That's so rad.
It was a family car. It was completely stock when we got it. So to have it go from a totally stock car to just being beat
Still
the
a
hell
stock
out of,
car.
and still a stock car.
Yeah.
So
It's a race car now.
it is, but it's fully convertible back, so we can pop all the number plates off, throw the soft top back on it,
Full doors back on.
full doors back on, window nets off, and windshield back on, and we can go wheel it, go drive it, daily drive it.
That's so sick.
And now you got a nice cage that will keep you a little bit safe.
Exactly. Yeah.
oh, we've already used it like 3 times.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Pre-race, it was rolled. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So also I want to bring up that the other car that we were with out there was the Stevensons. We had Sydney on the last podcast, and their Jeep had just a bad morning. The day of race day, we woke up and we're warming up her Jeep, and the coolant started just pouring out of the radiator.
The brand new
The
radiator.
brand
too.
new,
It's
like,
so
beautiful
unfortunate.
aluminum radiator. So it was like, all right, not exactly how we wanted to start our day with that team, in that Jeep. But luckily it was like, 27 degrees outside. So I said, look, you don't need coolant. You know what?
Yeah.
It's cold as shit out here. Just go run
Just
it.
run
Who
it.
cares? We're here. We come this whole way.
Yeah.
Just run it. You're going to be fine. Like the thermostat isn't never going to open anyways. Just go.
Yeah.
So they got on the line, and it started having some fuel issues while we were waiting in pre-grid to go start the race. And we thought that it was loose ring terminals on the fuel pump. So Jake was on the back, tightening those down and getting that squared away. And it seemed to what we thought cured it, right? It was like, oh, hey, it's good. This is a loose ring terminal. And they made it all the way to pit 1, 35 miles in. And then they left pit 2 and got over a little hill crest and then came down to mile marker 50, which is the turn that you make after you come down the hill and start heading back to it's all like desert from there to Turkey Claw, right? And it crapped out on them. And we were able to communicate via text. And ultimately what happened was the foam inside the fuel cell broke apart and got sucked into the fuel pump and packed up the fuel pump. So Roy and Cindy were able to nurse it like another 10 or 15 miles until a marshal picked them up and dragged him to an exit point where they could get picked up with a trailer. So their day ended pretty quick, which is super unfortunate. We had a lot of time and effort in that Jeep.
It was probably deteriorating before it even left here, to be honest with you.
Yeah, super
because
good.
it was hard to start. It
Yeah.
wasn't like super friendly.
Super good lesson for us, right? Being, in all reality, novice off-road drivers, right? We're all kind of rookies still in this. To talk to some of the other guys who were there who run Ultra 4 and stuff, and they tell them what happened. They're like, oh, yeah, God, it happened to me in this time. And you're like, okay, so I'm not the only one. But then they've learned, and they don't keep that foam in there.
Yeah.
They fill them with little wiffle golf balls instead, right?
Really?
That's their baffle
Yeah.
system.
No
They
way.
just get rid of the foam altogether and say, fuck it,
Wow.
and put in these wiffle golf balls.
Or just run fuel filters and
Yeah.
keep spares with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and obviously, like on the Stearns, when we raced them, we have redundant systems, right? We had 2 fuel cells, we had 2 fuel pumps, 2 fuel filter sections. Like you can click one toggle off and click the next toggle on, right? But
Yeah.
you're running a stock class. It's not like you've got enough. The budget usually isn't there for running, redundant fuel pump systems.
Yeah, because that system that we did in the Stearns, that thing was not cheap. Just those little actuators that open and close,
Yeah, those
they
were
were
not
like
cheap.
$70 or $80
No
each,
way.
and then by the time you're done at Crown getting all the AN fittings in line, and there goes another $300-400. Like it's probably $1,000 in fuel pump and fuel
Yeah.
system, just not even including tanks or anything.
Right.
So I think that's like a testament to how much effort actually goes into doing these races and how difficult it actually is, because so many people don't even make it to the starting line. So to
totally.
have someone who wakes up that morning and before they even make it there is already having issues, to make it across the starting line and then to make it as far as they did with those issues, that's an accomplishment
For
for
sure.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to
You
keep
know?
good spirit too. They were all happy, stoked. Like,
Yep.
man, the thing ran great. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
that was
we were
just it was
hauling
good
ass
to
through the
hear.
desert.
Yeah,
absolutely.
they were in super good spirits considering their car just crapped out at mile marker 50. I would have been pissed. They're just.
I'm going home.
Yeah, they're just so good
yeah.
about it. They're like, whatever, man. The thing ran so bitching right up until it didn't, right? So
Yep.
Yeah, we passed, I don't know how many cars that were 5-10 miles out already broken. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
I think that was another cool thing about the race too. Is it was like a graveyard out there. Just cars strewn across the desert going through, but every car you pass, you give them a thumbs up, and they're on the roof just cheering you on. They're just
Yeah, go
standing
get
there.
'em.
Yeah, it was super cool. Every single car is just cheering you on as you go past.
That is really sick.
So
That mentality that I don't think everybody chooses to have it, but the history of King of the Hammers is like the first 12 or first 15 or whoever it is,
Yeah.
and like beer money and just having a great time. Like everybody seems to embrace it, and like that's I think my biggest appreciation for King of the Hammers is just like you guys were stoked to see the other samurais out there. They were stoked
Yeah.
to see you out there. Like every vehicle, regardless if you have animosity towards them for something or another, like you're just stoked to be out there. It's a good time racing, and everybody's supportive. And
Yeah, as big as it's gotten, I think the racers, the core group of racers, is what keeps you wanting to come back and keep racing, because it's just a good environment and a good amount of people to be around. So
Yeah, and if you've never been, you should really go because it's super awesome. And at night when there's no racing, it's like Mad Max Thunderdome.
it's so crazy.
It's the Burning Man of off-roading.
It is.
If you've
so
never
crazy.
seen so many lights in your life, you'd think it's Christmas time. Like, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, there's no way you could be like, I don't know where to go tonight. You just
Look around
do
the-
a
You just look
360
around.
from where you're standing.
Yo, that
and
hill
pick
looks
a hill.
fun.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Looks like a
It's
Christmas
unreal.
tree in the distance.
I mean,
you
Yeah.
can see through the dust, though. 'cause
yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, even you could see a glow through the dust. It's so crazy.
I don't know.
mean,
We did run into that couple that said they drove 15 miles.
Oh yeah,
through
we
the
did.
desert
We did
looking for
meet a
their
couple in contingency
RV.
that came up to us, and they said they drove 15 miles around their RV trying to find their RV.
Oh my.
No way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like
so fun quick tip is when you get to camp, just drop a little pin on your phone. That way you know where camp is. It's super simple.
yeah.
That's
and
true.
another quick tip is don't park next to Hammertown.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
park.
Don't
Don't
camp
park
next
in
to
the lake
Hammertown.
No. Can't park next to Hammertown.
Oh yeah.
Please park.
For
yeah,
sure,
right next to
never
Hammertown.
park
is the
Right
best
as
spot.
close as you can get to it.
Don't ever park near Turkey.
I don't know.
Claw.
For the sake of people that spend 30 minutes looking for their RVs, don't park next to Hammertown.
If you understand our sarcasm, you deserve to not park next to Hammertown.
yeah, it's so bad.
Simon, would you guys do it again in the Samurai, or do you want to? Or are you like getting the bug where you're like, God, I want to build a bigger car?
Oh, I'd love to build a bigger car. And
Building a bigger car would be rad.
I've got the Samurai right now, and it the Samurai is what it is.
Been there, done that, right? Time for
Yeah.
setting the next level.
Yeah, for sure. But we'll see. I think that the Samurai is what we have now. We'll probably race it again, and then
Unless there's other things in the works that we
Unless-
all don't know about.
There might be.
there might be.
Secret meetings.
We don't know yet.
Secret meeting.
We'll see. We're just driver and co-driver, man. That's
You guys just show up,
That's what we
helicopter
do.
brings you in, you jump out on race day, jump in the car, and go.
yep.
That's the
We'll
dream.
figure out all the rest
I
of
mean,
it.
we
You
might
do-
be able to get flown in.
That would be
You do have to
crazy.
go by the name of Tony Stewart.
That's fine. Tony and Stewart, or
Yeah,
like
Tony
The car's number is number 20 now,
Tony
with a
and
Home
Yeah, I
Depot
mean-
badge on the side of it.
Oh man.
I mean, I think we're kind of up for everything at this point.
Yeah.
The whole race was a blast. We just listened to music and had a good time.
Oh,
the
we were
entire
jamming.
time. Like it wasn't like stressful.
We were
at all.
cracking jokes. We were counting how many spare tires fell
Yeah.
off of other
Oh,
cars
dude,
throughout
it's
the
gotta be
desert.
so many,
ridiculous.
huh?
Yeah,
So
we
many
were-
tool bags.
There's so much stuff. Like honestly, if we weren't trying to be competitive, we probably could have came home with a lot of tools. Like a bunch of 40-inch
Yeah.
tires we couldn't use, but
Yeah.
they
Come
were
in with 6 40-inch tires strapped to your roof. I know,
Yeah.
I just found them.
yeah. I mean, there's just so much stuff going out there. There's so many people just spread out, and there's just parts and cars, and it's
Oh yeah,
crazy.
they got.
even it being a rock race, the desert section claims people so
Oh
fast.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people from other parts of the country take the desert. They don't realize how rough it actually is until they
It looks
actually
smooth
start
from a
running it.
helicopter when you're looking at a 4400 car go by.
Yeah.
But even
Oh, yeah,
then, I
dude.
mean, that's got to tear them up too. I mean,
Yep.
I was impressed with how well the Samurai handled everything. There was I don't even know if I could count how many times all 4 tires just weren't on the ground.
Oh yeah. A lot of times.
It was a lot, and it was funny. But that's another thing too, is we were just laughing, and
It was funny till the next day when you're just super.
yeah,
sore.
the next day it
Yeah,
was
like
rough.
full
But
body
Can't get out of
soreness.
bed.
I'd have to say, speaking about Ian earlier, hats off to him for figuring out how to get that thing to work
Seriously.
as well as it did, because he just kept
Yeah.
going. I don't know if it's gonna work, dude. It's a Samurai. Good
Yeah.
luck.
Yeah,
And
he came by, a few days before you left, right? To
he
go to
came by
Hammers?
like 2 weeks before and revalved them for us.
Yeah.
Um,
He gave an initial base valve.
yeah.
Yeah, and
then
luckily you guys got
revalved
to
them
test
again
on that.
and killed it because
We don't
I
have a
was-
clue what we're doing.
This is Ian at Wheel Every Weekend.
yeah,
by the
Wheel
way.
every weekend
Yeah.
killed
Look him
it
up.
on the shocks, and that little car.
He
I mean,
pretends like he doesn't know what he's doing, but
to
he
put
knows
it in
what
perspective, up until it got up until the whips got really rough, we chased down another car, another Samurai. We chased them down, and we were on their bumper for 15 miles, and that car
Yeah.
had King 2.5s, Toyota axles, 35s,
And Devers.
and custom Deaver springs, and we had a bolt-on YJ spring under kit 31s, and some specially tuned wheel every weekend Fox 2.0s.
Well, and the other thing too, because that class, as well as being limited to 35s, you can go to a 2.0 by 14-inch.
You can go to
2.5 by 14.
Or I'm sorry, yeah, 2.5 by 14-inch shock with a
Yeah.
reservoir.
Yeah.
No adjusters,
No adjusters,
no bypasses,
bypasses.
No
no
bypass.
nothing.
Yep.
And so, with that being said, you guys had a 2.0 by 8-inch shock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the size difference. If you were to hold those two, no way.
Yeah, they fit inside of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that thing handled so good the entire time. I was blown away. My back was blown away. It was crazy. The car worked so good.
Yeah.
Up until it decided it had enough. But we both agreed in the beginning we would literally drive the wheels off the car. before
Oh
we
yeah, that's
stopped.
what we went to do.
So-
We went to just. I mean, I like to drive that car hard, anyways. You know, I relate
Yeah.
it to a 2-stroke dirt bike. You just don't let off,
Ever.
and
You guys definitely drove that like a 2-stroke.
and it smokes just like one too. So
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
I was going
And,
to ask if you drove with mechanical sympathy, but that kind of
None.
answered
No.
my question.
Did,
so.
if you saw
No, I
him
usually
driving
don't.
down Turkey Claw, you would have fully understood that he didn't give a shit.
Oh yeah,
what
before we
happened
even
to
rounded the
car.
corner, you could probably hear the car accident of us coming down Turkey Claw.
Yeah, it was unreal. Hats off to you for driving. It was unreal. Like so good.
Every
No point of me was uncomfortable. I was laughing the
That's
entire way
good.
down Turkey Claw, like the entire way. And the desert section, I mean, it was hard, but he kept it together.
we did. Yeah, I don't know if the car kept held together, but maybe that's another something to shoot for next year is to just keep the car in one piece through the desert. Maybe
Yeah,
a
maybe
little
don't
more.
go 120%. Like, bring it down to 99.
Let's be
Yeah.
real. That's a
We're gonna-
lie.
Yeah, I think it's
That's
We'll have,
never gonna
an oil drip tube that comes from the roll cage down into the motor and just keeps siphoning.
that's what I was telling him we were gonna have to do is just drill a hole in the top of the oil cap and just give him a little funnel in the passenger seat. He can just keep dumping quarts of oil in there.
yeah, I mean, like every hour, I need to top it off. Hold on, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Don't hold on. Do it at full speed.
yeah,
that
Yeah.
would. I mean,
it creates a vacuum, you know?
Yeah.
I think the only thing that kept us going any faster when it was smooth was just gearing.
yeah, the car
Yeah.
just.
We could have gone. I mean, we topped out at 62 miles an hour at one point, and that was literally all that little car had. And
You put it in fifth and it just.
By the way,
bogs
It
down.
just
62
bogged
in a
out. Yeah, it just goes
Samurai is
slower.
kind of scary.
I was going to say, passing through the atmosphere. Just,
Well,
Yeah.
And I remember when you guys were done, you know, you're out of the race at this point. We've finally got communication with you from the other side of the hill, and we figure out where we're going to meet you because you're driving around. And we're thinking the worst, right? Like, this thing's limping, it's
Yeah,
barely
dude,
running,
wheels,
you know.
wheels falling
And
off.
they
of
come
it.
through, and we meet them on the side of the track somewhere, and we're only probably at that point like 3 or 4 miles from camp, right?
Yeah.
So it's no big deal. We're talking about it, and they're telling us all about this, and they're like, all right, let's go back to camp. Okay, so we have our chase vehicles, which are, nice vehicles, and they're in their Samurai, and they take off, and I'm like, they're going like 50 through the desert. And I'm like, why the fuck are we quitting this race? They're hauling ass. Like, there was no reason to stop. Why are we stopping? We couldn't keep up with these guys getting back to camp. I was like, oh my God.
oh man, we just threw it in fifth gear and let it lug itself back.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was all right.
That poor car. I feel really bad for it.
That was
Oh,
super
yeah.
fun.
that's fine.
It was super.
It just
fun.
takes it.
Yeah.
That thing has literally never left me stranded ever. We've always made it back home.
That's pretty
It's
rad.
crazy.
That's pretty nuts.
So when you start the race, is your mind? Well, I guess it's hard to say, but is your mindset? I'm gonna drive it, and if I make it 2 miles, I make it 2 miles, or was there like? Because you want to finish, obviously. Like
Want to finish for sure. So my mindset was,
Wow,
I
there's this
know.
giant truck next to us. It might kill us.
Dude, that
Yeah,
thing was
they-
huge.
So they basically lined us up next to a mega truck.
Yeah, dude, it was
From Oklahoma.
so tall. It was so ridiculously tall. Like looking at it from behind the start line, you see like the tiniest little Samurai, and then it was a Nissan Frontier.
It was an Xterra.
Xterra, yeah.
But dude,
Yeah.
the thing was so lifted for some reason, and
Huge.
like it just looked massive next to the Samurai.
So we started, and he's all, just let him jump off the line. And I was like, oh, yeah, for sure. So we let the guy pull off the line, and I was like, okay, like I'm on him.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And we passed him within 3 miles
Made
up,
it to
up
the
Baldwin's
first
Hill.
Baldwin's Hill, and
We
he
passed
was
like
stuck,
4 cars
and we
right up
passed
there.
4 cars on that, and that set the pace for the whole race. I know I was nervous. I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
how he was.
I was
probably
nervous.
nervous. And then we made it up Baldwin's Hill and passed like 4 cars, and it was just like game on. Like
Yeah.
it changed everything.
Especially since we
So-
made it up Baldwin Hill going like maybe half a mile an hour
Yeah.
by the time we got
I think
to the top
us
of it.
yelling probably got us up it.
That's
Like,
probably all it was, yeah.
we were so stoked.
Yeah, we loosened up the harnesses and we're bouncing up and down trying to get more traction.
Try to jerk it forward. Like no, it was I think going back to what you asked, I think if we broke at mile 2, we would have broke at mile 2 and still had a good time.
Yeah, we would have been those guys on the side of the course cheering everyone else on.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because I mean, think of that too, right? You've got all this pressure and this adrenaline and this months and months and months of buildup, and when you break and you realize in that moment that that's it,
Yeah.
we're done. That's it.
Yeah.
It's almost like this great relief of,
It actually, yeah, it
no more
is.
pressure.
Yeah.
Let's just sit out here and have a cold water and cheer everybody by. Like, what
Yep.
else am I gonna do?
Yeah.
You know.
And I think the ultimate, so like my driving strategy was with those 4,600 cars, unless you're racing, with an unlimited budget, you're not racing other cars. You're racing the clock. So if you don't haul ass in the desert and beat the hell out of your car, you're not going to finish in time. You just
No.
aren't. And it sucks to say, but that's how that race is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, we did the math beforehand. I mean, in order to, we were doing the math of where you needed to be at what time you needed to be at each mile marker.
Yeah.
And what your average speed needed to be, and that meant in the desert portion you got to be pinned.
yep,
You've
you
just
do.
got to be pinned, or otherwise you're never going to make it through lap 2 in time.
Yeah.
Which is what happens in that class. It's a class of attrition, right?
Yeah.
It's how many people are actually going to finish it, and that's kind of the fun part of that class, right? Is just who can finish.
Yeah. And a lot of people complain that class is, well, no, it's the everyman challenge, right? Like you should be able to have your Tacoma, that can enter into it, and it's a budget class, but it's not exactly a budget class
Yeah, it's
because
not a
you
budget
have
class at all.
and
No.
you have companies like Ford that come in and they put down 3 of the baddest Broncos that money can buy, basically, and those dudes are setting hot times.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? And so, but it's like, okay, well, where's Jeep to do that? Like, let's get some more of these big companies in there
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah,
Why not?
Toyota,
If it's-
Jeep, Chevy.
if you don't have a chance of doing it because you're in a Samurai on 31s, like it is what it is. At that point, you're just going for bragging rights of, hey, I was the fastest Samurai out there.
Yeah.
But I think a lot more of those, big name Ford, obviously set the standard at this point. Like Jeep gets in there, Toyota gets in there. Like, let's get these guys going. Like make it fun.
But I mean, also think the people who complain about the everyman, right? And they say it's not for every man, right? Because like you said, like I drive a Toyota Tacoma or a 4Runner,
Yeah.
right? Or even whatever, a Jeep Wrangler, right? A TJ, and say we didn't do anything to the Stevenson's TJ and it was bone stock.
Yeah.
How boring would that fucking race be?
Oh my lord.
Yeah.
Holy Jesus!
Or would it be really
It would-
exciting?
it
I'd
would
love to
be
see
like a
people go beat the
20-mile
hell out of
race in
stock
order to be-
TJs.
have even one finisher, right? Like the race would be okay. Just go over there and back, and you got 6 hours, right?
Yeah.
Like it'd be boring, and that's why they don't do it. That's why you have a rule book. That's why you can do stuff, and the stock class is whatever. It's stock-ish, right? It's as stock as you can get and not be boring.
Yeah.
This is a race, right? People
It
are
is.
watching it. She's gonna be fun,
Yeah.
I mean, I look at some of those hills and I'm like, oh, if I brought my Jeep out here, I could probably do this trail
In
It'd
12
take
hours.
me 4 or 5 or 6 hours to do it, and then you see a Razor or a Can-Am who's racing go through it in like 6 minutes, and you're like,
Oh yeah.
okay, this is.
It's
yeah,
crazy.
I drive slow. But I mean,
Body damage, no body damage.
Yeah.
Body damage,
Yeah.
axle snapping, no axle snapping.
I just want to drive and not spill my beverage. I want to be able to one hand on the wheel and
That's a
one hand.
reasonable request.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for much. So next year, different car, different class.
You said not different car. Depends on what happens.
Yeah, well, I know,
Hold
more,
on, let him keep talking.
I know more than him.
Oh man.
If it wasn't a different car, what would you? Do you have any plans for the Samurai improvements or changes you'd make?
Oh
You
yeah, if
know-
you had to run that next year, what would you do?
Gearing.
Yeah, I think I'd just do gearing. Honestly,
Which we already did.
the only thing we didn't prep on that car was the motor, because that's just Old Faithful. That thing had to smoke its way through King of the Hammers at least once.
It's mostly old now.
And then
Faithful's questionable.
it made it back to camp, all right, with 12 quarts of oil in it, and
Yeah.
well, 4 quarts of
Quarts
fuel.
of oil and 4 quarts. Of
Yeah,
So freshen the motor up and put some gears in it.
yeah. Because the only 2 things we didn't prep are the 2 things that failed on that car was the gears and the axles. Because by the time we got to Spooners, we had 3-wheel drive.
which we still don't know when that not broke. At
We
all.
have no clue. No.
And no winch.
Honestly, we didn't notice it till like part way down Spooners. And he's all, hey, every time you hit a rock on the driver's front, the car just spins sideways. And I was like, oh, that's why we went sideways down that ledge and got stuck. And then we went down another ledge sideways.
You got stuck or
Super stuck.
it was super stuck.
Did you figure out what happened to the winch?
No, the winch just
I can
stopped
tell you
winching.
right now it's in his garage with the winch cable running over the hood, wrapped around the mirror, and then laying on the floor in the passenger seat. I have not seen the Samurai since the drive home,
It's actually coiled up really nicely.
but
in
I
the
can
passenger
tell you
seat,
right
though.
now that is exactly that's because I coiled it up on the course.
No, I uncoiled it and I washed the Samurai and then I coiled it back up. And
Okay, so either way, it's still exactly how I just worded it.
But the winch rope's clean too. So
That's a plus.
yeah,
That's what matters.
Now your gloves won't get dirty
He left
next
it
race.
out because he's drying it off.
exactly. Yep. You gotta
So
take
can we
care of
all
your things.
next year have 3-wheelers? Because you guys have 3-wheelers. And
We literally
that shit
just
was
bought one.
super fun.
Yeah.
we-
So
Did you
next
guys get
year
one?
We
yeah,
bought
they
one
did.
the day after we got back from Hammers.
You guys
so
are married.
What's yours is mine. What's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah. so that's cool. So now,
You don't want any of my things.
because what do they
So-
do? They call that Ultra 3.
Ultra
At
3.
night, one of
Yeah.
the nights they do a race in Hammertown, and it's all the little ATC 70s,
Yeah.
Yep.
Honda 70s. And you guys, how many were in camp? You didn't bring yours.
Ours is at home, but we had 2 in camp.
Why is it at
Yeah.
home?
It's broken.
What'd you do to it?
I
Isn't a new motor like $240?
no, it's not.
Dude, Harbor Freight has them.
Look,
Just
dude,
saw
all I
it.
know
Oh, yeah,
is that you
dude.
can buy
Just take
what
one
are
of
they,
those Coleman
140
mini bike
cc
motors
engines
out.
for them.
I mean, the sky's the limit with those things. There was guys at Ultra 3 with like 2-stroke engines in them.
Oh yeah,
that's what-
CR85
There was a guy that had
motors.
one with a turbo on it.
Yeah.
Like, that's
I
yeah.
don't have the time to tune that.
Those
Alright, we're
guys
gonna
get
LS
down.
You know how
an
we
ATC
prepped for
70.
months
Yeah.
for King of the Hammers? There was also guys that prepped for months for Ultra 3.
Yeah.
Like
That's so funny.
Yeah.
the level of that ATC 70s have become is unreal. And we all know that he wants one because he sucks at wheeling. We all know he wants one because he's mediocre at wheeling.
I do suck at
And I
wheeling.
want to get better.
We all know that he wants one because, well, we're all going to have them.
I
so
think
he
we
has to
saw-
have
Yeah,
one.
just
I
have
think
to.
we saw every single one of us flat back in camp on one of those at
Dude.
one point during King of the
Dude,
Hammers.
every time
My
I
back
crash that
hurts
thing,
so
it would
bad.
piss fuel right onto my crotch every time.
Yeah.
I was sitting in my sleeping bag, and I'm like under the covers because it's cold. I'd smell gas. I'm like, this is giving me a headache, dude. And I'd like pop my head up. No, that's too cold. Go back under, and it was it smelled like gas.
That's
I'm
so
like,
funny.
whatever, man. My face is gonna freeze. It's fine.
I mean, the nighttime shenanigans are what make it also ridiculously fun.
So
Yeah.
if we can't finish King of the Hammers, maybe we can win Ultra 3.
Can we make one of those turbo smudge pots?
Oh, we did.
We have
You
to
just-
attach a
That's
leaf
true,
blower
on
to
Milwaukee.
it.
Dude, we went through so many Milwaukee batteries with my leaf blower, just turning the smudge pot on.
I mean,
Dude,
we're
that
really
whole camp smelled like gear oil.
well. That's
Oh.
because Bent Motorsports supplied
He
25
sponsored- he
gallons of gear
sponsored the
oil.
smudge pot.
You guys said bring all the oil you have. Okay.
You
that's-
betcha.
We're
Oh,
not.
man.
Unfortunately, all we
Oil's
do is
oil,
gear
right?
jobs.
sorry.
Very little oil changes.
Every once in a while, you'd see some brake fluid go through there and
Oh,
yeah.
that's
like a little
warm.
turbo.
Mark would have loved it.
Yeah. yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so if anyone has regular oil, we're taking donations.
Oh yeah.
January of
We're
next
stocking
year.
up.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, that was an awesome trip, and I can't wait for next year. It's gonna be sweet, regardless of what we do.
It was a blast. One thing I have to say is huge thank you to every single one of you and our, all of our family members and our wives and everyone that helped. Seriously.
Struggling
Big
through
support from the families for sure.
Yeah. And all the advice and everyone that laid hands on that car killed it. I'm can't be thankful enough because it would have never
Well,
happened.
Well, we were happy to do it.
Absolutely.
it. No,
It's the shit we
dude.
love
So-
to do.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
get we
the
get
amount of
real
people that
excited.
jumped on board with him and I are racing King of the Hammers.
Oh, it was
awesome.
crazy.
Because it was hard.
It was.
It's
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah,
It's a
it
lot.
was really hard.
Yeah.
It's a
But-
lot.
Dude, Jake built a bumper for that thing. He hasn't even built a bumper for his own vehicle. Like, that's a big deal.
That's a pretty big.
Oh my
That is a
God.
huge deal.
That's true.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Right?
Sorry, now it's documented, so you have to finish it.
No, we have to.
Damn
build
it.
Yep.
Yeah. Now you have to finish it.
I'm
Can
selling
we
it.
race an Explorer?
Oh, do it.
What class? It would have to
All
be-
it-
4500.
Yeah, all it needs is a cage and a fuel cell.
We have
and
tube.
It needs a lot more.
We
than
have
that.
to.
Yeah,
a lot
okay,
of
maybe
work.
it's a lot of stuff.
We'll bring the tracker out.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now that it's topped off with brake fluid and the check engine light's been cleared as
See if
of this
74
morning.
well.
Yeah, right.
Maybe we
So
get some
dumb.
portals for it. 74 weld makes
Yeah.
custom sidekick tracker portals.
I hear you don't even need suspension with those.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't have any suspension now.
That's
We've
perfect.
cranked it up so high it just sits right at the top.
It's like the ATC 70, right? There's no
There you
fork
go.
on it.
Yeah, my tires are my suspension.
Yeah, PSI is travel.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
it.
Suzuki things.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what did the Samurai have in it? Oh, we don't even actually. The one thing we did not check
Tire
the
pressure?
entire time we were driving it, racing it, working on it was the PSI of the tires.
No.
Nice. Well, that seems like
So
a oversight.
yeah,
It's probably
Maybe
when all the
next
wheels
year
are bent.
we'll make a
It's the-
checklist.
It prob-
that's
yeah.
a good idea.
I think we even talked about it like mid-race. That he was like, I don't know how much air in the tires.
Yeah.
Too much, I'm guessing.
No, probably.
It's probably the
the
perfect
right
amount. Yeah.
I mean, they went it up
just right.
Baldwin Hill, so I would say
Considering
it's
how,
definitely
yeah,
the right
considering
amount.
how it performed, maybe it was exactly right.
Yeah.
Maybe you should measure it and set it to that next year.
Ooh, that would be
Yeah,
ideal.
you still haven't checked it.
No, it's no, I haven't. Nope.
You're predictable.
No, but the winch cable's clean.
Yeah.
All
We'll
right,
get
well,
that puppy fixed right up. Don't you worry.
all right, that's it. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for chatting with us, and we'll do another podcast soon. I promise.
He said that last time. He said that last time. That was a year ago.
I
No, it's
graduated.
been
It's fine. I'll
between-
move
This has
it.
been the Bent Motorsports Podcast. Thanks for listening in. Be sure to give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at Bent Motorsports. Stay updated on the latest happenings, future projects, videos, events here at the shop. Remember, guys, at Bent Motorsports, bids in stock, we've got it.